children of the world, come together and hear the call. Sing, children of the world, Islam will unite us all. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, wallahu akbar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a show we have on our schools, What is Missing. We've been discussing over the series a variety and a large range of topics that perhaps many people would say we're missing. They're not there, and we're trying to find out what those exactly are and what we can do, whether you're a teacher, a parent, a headmaster, or someone involved in a school. We all at some stage will be involved in a school, and we're trying to find out what those issues are and how we can develop them, how we can implement them, and how we can improve our standard of education in general. With us in the studio is Dr. Mamdouh Mohamed. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Pleasure to have you on again.
Thank
we
you.
will be completing this series with you. It's our pleasure as well.
Thank you.
And this very episode, we're going to be discussing parental involvement. We're going to be discussing parental involvement and all the different aspects that parents should be or perhaps shouldn't be involved in the life of their child as a student. Doctor, why should parents be involved?
Okay. First of all, I hope that the viewers are benefiting from these episodes, because I think there's something very crucial in our lifetime. And secondly, I will try to answer the question why it's important. The Quran, in its essence, makes it the responsibility of parents. They are responsible for themselves, and they are responsible for their children. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the beginning, in some verses, one of them is, يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة. O you, those who believe, protect yourself and your family members from the hellfire.
We're often concerned with many other people, aren't we?
So it's full responsibility for every individual to protect himself first or herself, then to protect the others. Especially when they are young, when they are not adults, when they cannot make right decisions, we are responsible for them. And the Prophet ﷺ elaborated on this by many hadiths. One of them is, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Each of you is a shepherd, and each of you is responsible for his ra'iyya, for the ones who is responsible for it. It's totally responsibility. And perhaps we have talked in one of the episodes about that one of the main jobs of the parents is to maintain their original nature through the fitrah. So now this is the job of a parent. And part of this job is when you make a selection, when you make a choice for your child, you need to guarantee that this choice or this option would guarantee that it would preserve and maintain this original fitrah. So it's quite obvious that it is responsibility. And it is the responsibility for every human being, but particularly for the Muslims, they are more aware of this than perhaps other people.
I think you're probably right. So, well, this brings us to the question that we've agreed that there should be a level of involvement, and of course, in any family, there's a huge level of involvement. But of course, with the advent of the modern school system, we find that we have another institution that's in between the parent-child relationship. What level of involvement should parents be thinking about with respect to their children, or the relationship between their children and their school?
Yeah. First of all, we said that we need to make a lot of orientation and a lot of education particularly for the parents, not just for the schools. It's obvious that the schools that they know this much better. They know that these are the parents of their customers, so they need to have good relationship with them. So the concept of partnership should spread among every member of a given society. It is partnership, even if it is a public school. It's still partnership between the parents and the school. So more particularly, more precisely, it's a partnership between private schools and the parents of the students.
So when we're actually talking about partnership, what we're trying to say is that it's not just a one-way relationship.
That's what we're saying. It's not a one-way relationship.
We're looking at it as a two-way relationship. And that is obviously a very important part of how parents should think.
Absolutely. I want everybody every parent to focus on this. Because we lived some years that the parents were totally isolated from the school. Would spend, for example, 6 months or perhaps a year. They would never get a document or a paper from the school to inform them about the progress of their children. We were as if they were living in two different worlds. The parents are totally blind of what's happening to their children. They are not involved in the choices that the kids make. They are not involved in the observation of the teachers who never met with the teachers in an open house day or something like that. We lived in times, and many schools and many parents still practice the same practice. They are not working together, each one, whether the parent is busy or not. But anyway, they are not involved. And then after some time, they discover that their children are not doing well. Not just academically, of course, more importantly, from the behavioral viewpoint.
Okay, so what we're trying to establish, I think, here is firstly that it is an obligation on the parents in the first that they take responsibility for their children.
Not only, I think it's an obligation of the government is to make it an obligation on every parent to be involved with it. So I think it's a duty of a government to do that, to enlighten, to educate the parents about their rights and their duties in terms of the learning of their children.
Okay, so this is the first thing. Now the second thing is, how do they interact? How do the parents interact with the school? And we've talked about level of involvement, which you've said is what hasn't in the past existed. I mean, there was no level of involvement, no interaction between parents and the schools itself.
Yeah.
So, given this, we're having a new paradigm that we want the parents now to know what's happening in the schools. How can they do that? How can they do that? And can you give us some examples of effective interaction?
Okay. First of all, to tell you the truth, the research showed and proved that whenever parents are involved in a school, whenever they are engaged in schools, the outcome is that their students, their kids, do much better than if they are not. Even by observation, you will find all the schools, and I'm quite sure that out of my experience, most of the schools now know that. And that's why they want to involve the parents. Because, in fact, when they involve the parents do some work which is considered for free for the school. They do part of the job of the school, right? So they are helping the teachers. They are helping the social working. They are doing a lot of things. Right? Definitely it's for the benefit of their kids. But schools now realize how important this is. So they are the ones who want the parents to be involved. To the degree that many schools would ask the parents to come and speak to the students. For example, many schools, I know that, for example, teachers of reading, they would make a schedule during the whole year, the whole school year, and they would ask the students, and they would send letters to the parents, if you want to be involved in that, we need you to come and to give us a summary of a book that you have read to the students in 10 minutes, and they make a very accurate schedule. So then the parents would come and would teach the kids about one book that they have read. So the teacher would get the summary of a book in 15 minutes or in 20 minutes from one of the parents. So the child, his child is there, and the parent is teaching. So they would find that very good relationship between the teacher and the child and the parent in one class.
This is a totally different level of involvement than I would have even imagined. And of course, it must have some good results.
A very great impact. Just try to imagine if the teacher depends on himself or herself to do that. First of all, it becomes very monotonous. It's totally different from that. If you bring a parent, one parent, for example, he works in fire station. He would come sometimes with some equipment with him and would start giving a whole story to the students, and the students love to see that, and they start playing with the machines and the tools that he brought. It's a new experience.
And to what sort of age groups is this?
This can be done on many levels. This can be done, but it happens even in, of course, elementary schools, when they come up with the story that they read or one experience in their life and they benefit others. You try to imagine that a student is exposed to at least 30 or 25 different parents with all the different experience, the rich experience that they have. One is working as a CEO, the other one is working as a school director, a third one is working as in the fire station, and one is a policeman, and the students get a lot of experiences from these things. This is one example of the involvement of the students, the parents in the schools. So here the school is benefiting from the parents, the students are benefiting from the parents, and also there's increased strong relationship from both sides here.
So you could say there's a variety of ways that these different
hundreds of ways.
These parents, you've got the parents, the teachers, and the students, and they are interacting in a very intimate, I mean, almost intimate way. I mean, there's obviously a deep level of trust there.
Yeah.
Can you give us any other examples of how parents can interact in these ways?
Okay, this is very good. And also I'd like to tell you that many schools design this in the curriculum. So it's not just open for the, they would design it in the curriculum.
So this is what we, as we said, is planned.
Visit, external visit. So the parents visit, parental visit from outside. And it's not necessary that it's just the parents of the students in a specific class. We can use another parent who is in a different class because he has some expertise and he can show this expertise here. Because not every parent is capable of that. And so some parents are, some parents are not. But the most important thing is that the parents should be ready to give some of their time, to be engaged, because these are their kids.
So again, we come back to planning.
Yes.
Come back to the
same
planning.
It's part of the planning, as we said, that it goes into the curriculum. We've seen many examples that are beautiful. For example, another example, when the school makes orientation in the beginning for the new customers, for the new students and their family members.
Okay, going to stop you there.
Oh, we can.
We will resume after the break. We'll be back very shortly. Short break. See you after it. Assalamu alaikum.
The main concepts of Islamic economics, how is it different from the Western theories?
And the beauty about Islam is not that it just came as a religion to perfect the relationship of the servant of Allah with Allah, but also it came to perfect the relationship of the servant of Allah with others. The beauty about Islam comes and brings the interest of the public and the interest of the individual together.
How is Islamic banking different from the traditional banking system?
The concept of riba is that I lend you money, I give you a loan, in return that you give me back that loan with an extra at the top.
The idea of the stock market itself is halal or haram.
So these are the main conditions that the scholars put with regards of the share market.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our episode with Dr. Mamdouh. We are talking about schools, our schools, what is missing. And within this, we've been talking about parental interaction. How can we as parents get involved? Should we be involved? How we should get involved? And to what level we should be getting involved? And we were discussing a number of examples that the doctor was giving us about this deep level of involvement. And we were just ready to go for the break, and we were discussing customer orientation at the school. So this is perhaps the very first involvement of the parents with the school. Please tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. Before we go into that, I think you mentioned something very beautiful in the first half of this episode when you said that it's an obligation for every parent. Every parent, each parent should be involved. So now the question of should we be involved or not is out of question. And I think every parent should know that it's something like the air we breathe and it's the water we drink. It is very essential, right, to participate and to be involved in the school. The example I was giving is that in the orientation that's done usually on the open house in the beginning of a semester or a year, we found that some of the good practices that some schools, instead of they themselves would make the presentation about their schools, they would ask some of the parents of the students to come and make this orientation, to talk about the school, to answer the questions. So instead of the school itself is answering, instead of the teachers or the principal or the headmaster or the coordinator or whoever works in a school, they would let the parents talk on behalf of the school.
Wow.
Everything is transparent.
Wow. So you're actually saying that they invited the parents who were already
to do the job of the school or the staff
to actually talk to the
new customer. So they started talking. They explained everything. So the parents would ask them and they would answer, which tells you a lot, which tells you that they know how the school is run. They tell you, and this is something very important to use our spare time. If we have some time, we can give this time to the school where our kids are. Even if you don't have kids in the school and you still have some time, one of the good area for volunteer work to do that. You would find teachers are coming, parents are coming to participate in the morning assembly in the activities. Some of them they attend in the activity period. So because in the activity period, each 2 or 3 or a group of students is doing a different activity, and the number of the teachers in the classroom or the number of the teacher in the school is not enough to do all these activities. So they needed extra support. So the parents here they become very effective, and they play a very great role in the life of the school and mainly in the life of their kids. These are good practices or best practices of the involvement of the parents.
Doctor, listening to these kind of stories, as perhaps a parent, a student, a teacher, I would be amazingly happy. I mean, it's almost an ideal. But there's obviously, at some stage, there's some hard work done here. And there is a lot of thought that's gone into this. Can you just give us an idea? How are people how are people getting their schools to arrive at these sort of levels of behaviour? Because they're clearly distinct to what's really going on in many schools across the world.
I would go back to the common saying that says that love from the first sight. Yes, when you go to a school from the first sight, and you will find it's open and everything is transparent. You can talk to the principal, you can talk to the social worker. You get clear orientation in the beginning, and they invite you to be involved. You find yourself in the first few months, you're getting regular reports from the school about the progress of your child. So you get a report card with all the comments and all the feedback from the teacher that explains everything that happened to the child. You become so pleased with school. You say, this is the school that I've been looking for. So when you go to school, look for the report cards and see how detailed they are. because it's not just the grade or the mark that you're looking for. No, you're looking for something deeper than this. Your child made progress in this skill because it was the first time for him to begin collaborative work. Now you know that there's something called collaborative work, and your child to be engaged in this. He didn't do this before. So they inform you about everything that's happening to your child.
So this is another sign for parents to look for of a good school. We've talked about...
This is it.
What the first one we talked about was...
We said that you look at the brochure, you look at the action plan, you visit some classes, you see the report cards.
So the second thing is the openness of
the openness of the
situation,
school and the transparency of the school, yes.
And the third is then the production of these reports, regular reports, because a lot of people just give them 2 or 3 times a year, and is that really enough?
Yes, no, this is not enough. And again, the teachers should make themselves approachable. Sometimes it's not in the hands of the teacher, but when they make the schedule for the teachers, they make specific times that they are available for any parent to come.
Okay, so let's talk about again the steps towards achieving that. What's the key? What hard work has gone into this program?
It's first of all.
So we said love at first sight was the first thing we said, wasn't it? And then what else beyond that?
It's how to make people love you from the first time. If the people see you that you are an expert, you're professional, you're open, you're transparent, right? You're welcoming people. You want to benefit from all the other expertise they can tell from. And then they need to prove this by seeing some steps happening, some actions happening, some invitations coming to you.
So there's communication there as well.
Communication. And that's why you find now most of these schools have a department of communication.
Well, that's something new.
Yeah, of course.
That's something new, because my school, there's no department of communication.
Oh, no, not at your age, perhaps. I know that you're not that old, but many schools didn't do that. Now, especially private schools, they have department of communication. It may have 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, depending on the size of the school. But the most important thing is that this department is responsible for communication with the parents. What is more important in this issue?
That's very important.
The cooperation between the parents with the teachers would help them to solve the problems of the children as early as possible. If they detect or identify a behavior problem or an academic problem and they work together, they can make a plan to solve this problem as early before it becomes worse.
Okay, so we're saying the key is here, from the school's point of view, is to have some love there, to bind this community together.
Some expertise, which tells them that love is part of making things work.
Some evidence of things being done.
Communication.
And communication.
Communication. And we don't say the word communication. We insist on saying effective communication.
Effective communication.
It's not just a phone call, my child is late today, and I'm sorry that he's not coming after the first 2 hours, and that's it. No.
Yes.
No.
And of course this idea of transparency.
Is there anything that I can do for you? Is there anything that I can... Okay, I will send you by the end of the day the homework that your child missed, and if you have a problem you can call me between 3 and 4 because this is my office hour to get more explanation.
Okay.
Wow.
And of course transparency in that as well.
Transparency. You can imagine a school is doing this, and we've seen many schools doing this, and it's a wonderful job, and I think we can achieve a lot from this.
Excellent. Now, we talked about interaction at school, parents' involvement at school. We talked about the obligation of the parents on their children. What about at home? What should parents be doing? What can they learn from the school even? And what can they work into their interaction with their child at home to benefit the child?
Yeah, it depends on which stage the student is, but every student needs some support. For example, a student is given an assignment to do some search or to do a project at home, and the project sometimes I would require 3 hours of work, and if you get support from one of your parents or from one of your brothers and sisters, it takes you less time than this. So the parents are involved. What type of assignment do you have today? And Do you want me to help you? I am willing to help you if you need some help. Okay, I am going to prepare the material for you. Would you like to accompany me to buy these materials that you require for this? Okay, let's organize our time. The first hour is for buying the material. When you come back, you take rest. Then after 2 hours, we can begin the project.
So helping to plan the project, plan the homework. Yeah.
Helping the child in the projects, in the assignment, not by doing it. Again, I stress this. This is the mistake we have been suffering from for long times, because a lot of parents are emotional and they think that they are doing a good job for children when they answer on their behalf. This is not...
Big danger. Okay, so big cross against that. Now, we've touched on previous episode about critical thinking. That's another thing that parents can develop.
Of course, can develop this.
Can you just touch on that? Remind us what exactly we were saying.
When we said that critical thinking, they need to know some questions, strategies, in order to let the student think deeply of what is meant. In other words, said that don't let them read the lines, but read between the lines.
Okay.
This is what we...
Very nice.
So reading the lines, everybody can read the lines and can decipher the words, but not everybody can read the message that's between the lines.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. Going to stop you there. Dr. Mamdouh giving us some absolutely crucial and so important advice about how to choose the schools, what to look for as a parent, how to get involved, and of course your obligations at home and how we can really help our children at home. Thank you very much, Doctor, once again. It's been a pleasure. We will see you again, inshaAllah, in our next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh, sing, children of the world, come together and hear the call. Sing, children of the world, Islam will unite us all. Sing, children of the world, come together and hear the call. Sing, children of the world, Islam will unite us all. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wallahu